All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a good practice problem for you. You haven't looked at too many multiple choice problems about monopolies, I don't believe, so far in the videos. Maybe not any at all. So I want you to take a look here. Suppose this is a productively efficient monopoly. What is the per unit profit? And choose your best answer here. Pause the video. If you have to, go look and find what the productively efficient rule is. Hopefully you know it by now, but if you don't, go look. I'll wait. I'm still waiting. All right, let's see. So productively efficient. If Mr. Sutton is not mistaken, that's also the efficient scale. That's where ATC is at its minimum, which is right here where it crosses the marginal cost curve. Now, let me get a pencil here. All right, let's get, we're looking for the profit. So we need to find first we got to find the total revenue. So we know the quantity is 9, though. Okay, because that's where ATC equals MC. Now, again, remember, demand, our AR curve, that's our price. So we got to go up to find the price. And that is at what looks like 22. Now, so that means 22 times 9, whatever that is your total revenue. And your total cost, well, okay, ATC is right here. Total cost is this box, which leaves the profit, as we'll go in blue, this box right here. And so a lot of people go, okay, 22 minus 16, Mr. Sutton, that's 6, multiplied by 9, 54 is the answer. Boom! Wrong. Not it. Got to be careful here. Per unit. So $54 worth of profit assumes that we sell not 1, but 9 units. So this is very tricky. I may have given you, I feel like I gave you one of these before with perfect competition to kind of get you to think about it a little bit. But your per unit, each unit only makes $6. So that is your question. That is your answer, rather. That's a tricky question. I don't remember where that one came up, but that stumped a bunch of people one year. So that's a good one to go over with you guys. It reviews a rule and a tricky little wording thing here. So beware. Now that's not really what we're talking about today, or with this this video. What I want to talk to you about today has to do with efficiency, and kind of going back to a topic that we have talked about before. So before we talked about perfect competition, we talked about creating efficiency and trying to maximize efficiency in perfectly competitive markets. So this is a graph of a perfectly competitive market. I realize that we are stepping back here, and I ask you to find the consumer and producer surplus on the graph. If you know how to do this, just, do it real quick on a scrap piece of paper. If you don't, I'm going to put up the producer-consumer definitions here, and how you can find them here. So consumer surplus was represented by area under the demand curve but above the price, above the supply curve and below the price for the producer surplus. So see if you can figure that out. I'm going to come back here to this graph. So I need a marker. I need something to write with. Alright, we'll go purple. So here's our equilibrium point. That means our quantity is here. So remember, your surplus, your producer and consumer surplus can't be to the right of this quantity. We're not producing out here. So there's no surplus that can occur. And the price is right here. So our consumer surplus is on the top. Producer surplus is on the bottom. Now we can make all sorts of variations to this, but this maximizes our total surplus, our consumer surplus plus producer surplus. And anytime we have inefficiency, say we put a price ceiling or a price floor or a tax, which we haven't talked about yet, in place, we reduce our quantity, so that reduces our total surplus. And so that's a sign of inefficiency. Well, monopolies, it shouldn't be too hard for you to grasp this idea that they're not particularly efficient, or at least they're not particularly fair, which kind of corresponds with inefficiency for us today. So if we think about this idea of the producer and consumer surplus being bound by supply and demand curves, and we go here. So we're going to try to find the consumer surplus here. So the first thing I have to do, let's assume we are a profit maximizing monopoly. So we're going to go to where MC equals MR. And that's going to, I need a thicker marker here. There we go. There we go. So that means we're going to produce 10 units. All right. So I know my producer and consumer surplus has got to be somewhere over here to the left in this space. Now the question is, where is it? Well, we got to find the price too. So that means we got to go up to the AR curve. All right. And the price is 10. Well, let me ask you this. We have the quantity, we have the price. Do we have a demand curve? Well, yes, we do. Our AR curve is our demand curve. It's our price. So your consumer surplus is right here. And it's pretty common that they'll ask you to find that. Now, the producer surplus, I can't say is as common, generally because of the shape of this marginal cost curve here. We've talked about this marginal cost curve kind of representing the supply curve for your firm. And this is a firm graph here. This monopoly graph, it's unique because it's the firm graph, but it's also the market graph because there's only one firm in the entire market. So the firm is the market. Interesting way to think about it. I hadn't said it like that to you before, but so here's your price again. Here's your quantity. But now your supply curve, okay, so it's like so. Depends, our supply curve doesn't extend all the way down, so let's say it's like this. All right. Producer surplus. I would say it's fairly uncommon that they ask about producer surplus, but very common that they ask you to find the consumer surplus for a monopoly. So definitely know this guy up here. Now, the other one that we've got is this deadweight loss. And the question here is helpful for us to find this deadweight loss. Are there people willing to pay enough for this product that the monopoly produces to cover the firm's marginal cost? So beyond 10 units, are there people that would pay more than the cost to produce that 11th unit? Well, go right here for me. Let's go to this spot here. Let's say, for the sake of saying, that this is 11. Notice what your marginal cost is here, and your marginal, or your average revenue, the price that people are willing to pay here. Well, it's kind of, this actually worked out perfectly. I didn't plan it. But you see the dotted line for 7? Well, one green mark is below 7. The marginal cost here is, let's call it 6. And the average revenue, the price that people would pay, let's call it 9. So it seems like, man, you should produce this. I mean, you could make a $9, you could get people to pay a price of $9, which is in excess of the cost for that unit. That seems like you should do that. But remember, we don't make our decisions based on the average revenue or the demand or the price. We make it based on comparing the marginal revenue to the marginal cost. But still, that doesn't get past the fact that the price is still higher than the per unit cost here. Now, so producing 11 would not be profit maximizing, even though it would seem in some sense to be very efficient. So this socially optimal point here is what we kind of consider. This would be the equivalent of your free market level of output. So this would, this is, let me write this here, socially optimal or allocatively efficient. I'm going to move this actually, so it's not, it's kind of still in the way, but whatever. And so this would be your really, your efficient point for a whole society for this monopoly. So remember, I think I taught you this before, the way that you figure or can think about your deadweight loss, the triangle that creates your deadweight loss points to your socially or allocatively efficient point. So that right there is your area of deadweight loss. Not bad. Not bad. Here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to go look at page number 5 in your packet. See if you can calculate and shade the areas of producer and consumer surplus. It should be very, very similar to what I walked you through here. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you very much.